this engagement session that I did at this CrossFit box, CrossFit 908 in Berkeley Heights. I believe they have another location, Central 908 Central in Westfield. Yep. Really nice gym, guys. This is just so much fun to take photos here. So the couple today is Andrew and Danny. They rocked this session, guys. They did such a nice job. What was interesting is that I wanted to make sure that when we did their session that it didn't, I wanted their album to look like it's an engagement session and not just a workout session that I was photographing. You know, I want their family members to look at it and say, wow, yeah, this really does look like an engagement session. And they did an awesome job. Before I start any session, I will always ask the couple, like, how they're feeling. And I would say 9 out of 10, it's normally the guy who is a bit nervous, or at least one of them. If it's not, you know, sometimes women are too, or maybe both of them. I know myself, I just don't like being photographed. I find myself to be, I think I'm an extrovert person. Like, I don't get nervous, like talking on video and doing things like this. I'm terrified at being photographed. I don't know what it is, that one-to-one. And guys, I'm a photographer like that. I know all the little tricks, but I don't know. Sometimes I see the camera and I just freeze up. I don't know what to do with my face, with my hands. Like, it's just too much for me, too much pressure. So I can sympathize with all you got, you know, men and women who don't like being photographed. So my job is not only to take their photos, but to make this a pleasant experience. Because here's the thing, their engagement session is sort of like a mini practice for the day of their wedding. And the last thing I want them to be worried about is like, oh, I don't like being photographed. Like, I want them to really enjoy their wedding. And, you know, now that they've gotten an idea of what their portraits are going to be like on their wedding day, they're just like, oh, like, we got this, no problem. So I'm going to go back for a minute. They're so funny. Isn't her tattoo so cool? I want a tattoo, guys, like a really big one, like on my chest, like a huge one. All right. But that's another video. So I told them that in the very beginning, like, listen, so Angie had sort of expressed like, hey, you know, like, I kind of feel awkward, you know, in front of the camera. And that's very normal. A lot of people do. So I always start off my sessions far away. I don't pull out the long lens. I really try to leave my long lens at home. Something about the long lens really freaked people out. Like, what the heck is that thing you just took out of your bag? So I try to keep my lenses small. I shoot with an 85 wide like this. I did bring the 24 and the 50. The 50 is really nice too. And I shoot from far away and I have them just kind of hold hands. And all we are doing here, guys, we're talking. That's all we're doing. We are just chatting. So that's why there's like that natural sort of smiling. And I am a people person. I love talking. I love talking to people. I love getting to know them. So this for me is like where it comes very naturally for me. I don't know how, and here's the thing, like, I think you can be a photographer and be an introvert. There are photographers that are like that, and they do a really nice job of it. Also, too, sometimes because I am so much of an extrovert, it can actually make introverts uncomfortable. My husband is an introvert, and sometimes he's like, babe, you got to slow down. Slow down. So I try to be mindful of that. So I'm not talking at them and I'm talking with them and holding a conversation, right? So, you know, in order to get them comfortable, and this is like a big thing, like a big question that I get from photographers that are transitioning or including wedding photography. They're like, Viv, how do I not feel awkward in front of the couple? And here's the thing, like, they're feeling equally as awkward. All you can do, there's just a couple things. You can just make sure you're chatting with them, compliment them, and just no like dead air. So what I'm trying to say is, don't be like taking photos of them and then not saying anything afterwards. Like, don't try to keep a little of conversation going, because what ends up happening is if you're just like totally quiet while you're photographing them, they start to think that they're doing something wrong, or the photos are not turning out well, or they start to get self-conscious. And it's okay. I'm okay with showing a couple photos that are not edited, like straight out of the camera. Like, hey guys, like, look, it's not edited, but I want to show you that you're doing a really nice job with this. Because they need to be just reminded. Like, people don't get their photos professionally done. This is not a common thing. So, you know, when would Danny and Andrew get their photos professionally done? Never, like on their wedding day or like maybe when they're competing. But competing is like a whole nother thing. Like this is very intimate. Here I am, if you really think about it, a stranger into their relationship, watching them interact. Like I understand why this is uncomfortable. So, and another rule that I have too is that I won't tell them to kiss. The only time I may tell them to kiss is that if at this point, towards the end of the session, and I'll show you here as we go down, if towards the end of the session, they've already been sort of like very close and intimate and already kissing on their own, if I miss the shot, I may ask them to do it again. But that's the only time. If they're not really kissing and they're kind of like uncomfortable with hugging and all that, I don't force them to do it. Guys, I just need to apologize beforehand if you hear my kids in the background. I'm just keeping it real because I'm never alone. So we start off the session sort of far away like this. And all we're doing is chatting, talking. Like they're telling me about the gym. They're telling me about their proposal. Oh my God, I love her smile. I love, Daddy, your smile. I love it. And look, here he's starting to relax a bit. He has a great smile too, even though he like felt that he doesn't. And if you notice the gray areas, those are the ones that I'm Xing out. They're not going to be delivered because I go through and meticulously and very careful on what I deliver. I want to deliver the best of the best, where they look the best. And so let me kind of go through here. So once we kind of went through this and we were just chatting, I then had asked them to go belly button to belly button, literally, like that's it. And what ends up happening is when you tell your couples to do that, this is the natural position they get into. And then we get into some other sort of positions that, and look, and she did this on her own. Like, they were chatting. I think at one point I told her to smell his shirt. And she just naturally laid her head there and I told her to stay and I took some photos and this is fine. Like, this is not like threatening at all, He must have said something to her that made her laugh. But I seriously, guys, I have the best couples. I don't even know what to tell you. Like, I think it's like you attract your clientele. You know what I mean? So there are going to be couples that want a lot of direction. Like, put your shoulder here, put your hand here. There are couples that want that, and there are couples that don't. And the ones that don't, they end up finding me, right? Because they know that that's not how I shoot. They know that at the look, and this is, oh my God, they're so cute. They know that at the end of their session, they're going to feel really comfortable, and that's what they're looking for. That's like what's really, really important for them. So this is sort of the first time that Andrew leaned in, kissed Danny, and look, at this point, everything is sort of like, this is them. Like, this is them as a couple, right? So once I saw that, I'm like, all right, guys, we are going to do some other things. And we did some like fun things, like with the rings and things like that. And again, guys, just kind of going back, like I wanted to be careful that this is an engagement session and not of me taking pictures of them working out, because like it's an engagement session, right? You want to really capture like who they are, their personality. So kind of, and also don't forget to take breaks. Remind them that if they get tired at any point, because it is exhausting for the couple to be doing this, remind them that if they need breaks, they're allowed to be like, hey, Viv, like I need a break. At this point here, they were just kind of chatting and I was just taking pictures of them talking with each other. And here is like, you really get to see their personality. Like, oh my God, I think that's hilarious. I love that he did that. And there's just like so many photos of them like this. So you could really tell here that they're just like comfortable. And then we went into like they wanted some here, like doing some just like normal stuff. And this is cool, guys, because at this point I had already gotten like some very, I don't know, photos that you can tell that they're, engagement. Let me just kind of, so you could see here. That's real. I know I'm going kind of fast here, guys. And then we did some photos here of, they're like doing snatches. And also what I like to do too is like after any session and even the day of the wedding, once it ends, I'll say to them, hey, are there any photos that you're really excited to see? And they'll say to me, yes, Viv. I think Danny had said, oh, I really, really want to see the ones of us on the bike. So that night, I don't remember, either that night or the day after, I'll deliver just a couple photos, just so she has them and she can see them right away. And then at the 2-week mark, I write a blog, just highlight a couple of the photos. And then at the 5-week mark, they get their album. But they were just like, oh my gosh, I love them. They're just like so much fun. So once we were all done with that, when they took some pictures of toes to bar and stuff like that, and that I love the ones of them on the bike because they were just sort of chatting. Let me fast forward here. We took some really cool ones. These I really liked too, guys. This was like, where is it? Of them, we kind of played. I knew that this was one of the ones that I wanted them to do. She told me about the garage door, so we did some shadow ones. So I'm going to play around with this. This will take me, these photos here will probably take me a bit, maybe a week to kind of really go through and look at them. And then after we were done, we did some traditional engagement photos, and it was because her mom wanted them. And I love that because it's just like a really nice balance to the album. So way to go, Danny's mom. And at this point now, they're just like totally relaxed. So you're going to see more of them just being with each other. I mean, you can tell, like, aren't they just beautiful? They're just like beautiful people. They look so good here. And then we wrapped up at the back of the gym. You know, you really can make the most of any space, guys. One of my favorite photos here too, also outdoors, was this. So if you ever out shooting on a day that it rained, let's say, or it is raining, concrete, I mean, this day it did not, obviously, so the concrete is looking a little dull, but I really like what the trees were doing with the shadows here. And when I took these photos, I knew that I had with black and white in mind. You see that really quick? And then I also took some that were just a little slightly overexposed, but that's okay. So going back to the rain, so if you ever like shoot people, like if you ever photograph them and the concrete is wet, there's just like some really neat highlight effects that the ground does. Like, I don't know, it's pretty cool. So, you know, if this was done in my driveway, in my backyard, I probably would have taken a hose out and just like wet the concrete. I'm not kidding. Yeah, so I probably would have done that. But I have two types of photos here because I knew these, I kind of want to do black and white. I started editing one in color, but we will see. Like, this is lovely too. This is, and I mean, I don't know if it's weird that it's on the concrete. I just really like these shadows. So if you got to see my last video, I may actually just kind of go in and maybe even like, oh, remember the graduated filter? So maybe something like this. I'm just doing it really quick, guys. So maybe something like this. I don't know, maybe something along those lines like that. And I'm kind of going like crazy here, guys. Like, I'm not even looking here. I'm just doing this really quick. Like something like that. And then, oops. And then I'll take my brush. And I mean, I'm just kind of playing with this, but I'll go back. And I'll erase. I just want to see what they look like. Like, isn't that neat? I don't know. I really like the shadows on there. And go through and just kind of clean them up a bit. But this is just a quick edit. But yeah, something along those lines. So anyway, so that's that, guys. There's so much more that I could say here. Eventually I am going to do a video of me actually going through a session. I'm just, with everything and us being quarantined and not being able to touch each other. It's a little difficult, but I figured I'd give this to you guys in the meantime as you're sort of preparing for your season of photographing couples, because I imagine, you know, your first set of couples might be from the gym that you go to. This was his idea. I love when, you know, I love that he did this. He was like, hey, can we grab one up here? I'm like, yes, let's do it. Like, we just had so much fun on this session. All right, guys, if you have any questions for me, let me know. If not, that's cool too. Adios.